as close to
Rock
my
the
screen as
Texas shirt, huh?
everybody else.
All right. Good evening,
I'm a
fans.
Texas fan.
Welcome to Sports Politicians Agree to Disagree. We're going to do a little bit different of a format this time. We're not just picking topics. This will be our NFL preview show. So we're going to give you a breakdown, division by division, each conference, what we think has one NFC and one AFC division. We're going to give you what we think for each team, how it breaks down, and then our predictions with a little bit of commentary between each one. We'll go ahead and start off with introductions. My name is Alan Hinton. I'm on Twitter, aflash79. I'm in Wilmington, North Carolina, from Chesapeake, Virginia. Lance.
Leonard Lynch Jr. Catch me on Twitter and all that. Twitter, Snapchat, everything at Lynch Jr. Coming out of Killeen, Texas. Right now, I'm living in Houston, Texas.
Purvis.
Perfect purpose. You can catch me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, anything you want to catch me on. From Texas City, Texas, living in Kouvola, Finland right now. Oh yeah, just won championship. Put it out there.
Congratulations.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
man.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations, man.
Congrats, Coach.
Turner.
And John Turner from Newport News, Virginia, currently living in Chesapeake. You can catch me on Twitter at Everybody Loves John.
Awesome. So we're gonna start off. Lynch is gonna start us off with the division of the reigning NFL champions. That is the AFC North. Let's get it going.
Well, like my boy Hinton just said, since I had the pleasure of having a Super Bowl winning team, anybody else have a Super Bowl winning team in the last decade or so? No, I didn't think so. I'll be starting out with the AFC West with my Broncos. I got them winning the division once again, but I think it's going to be closer this go around this year. So I got the Broncos coming in first at 10-6. The Chiefs coming in at second at 9-7. The Raiders had a little struggle with the Raiders, but I ended up having them coming in third at 8-8. In the Chargers, I had them bringing up the rear at 5-11. Now, Chargers, I think they're not going to be a good team at all this year. I don't think there's really much mentioning there. I think Phillip Rivers has gotten old. That defense is just not good anymore. All of their stars have aged. They got a few up-and-comers who haven't really latched on yet. So the Chargers, I don't really see much coming out of them, coming up from them. The Raiders, I had a really hard time picking out their ranking simply because they have such young talent and promise on their team. But I just get this feeling they're going to take a step back this year. Whereas I think most young guys, they get together, they have that 1 year of decent success, and then they take a step back, and then that third year together, that's when they really explode. So I really think the Raiders' year is next year, even though most people are jumping on their bandwagon now. The Chiefs, the reason I have them second is simply because they're consistent. They have a lot of consistency going on with Andy Reid and Alex Smith, and the defense, Eric Berry, Jamal Charles coming back. I think they have a really nice squad. But I do think the Chargers will be able to take them in one of their games this year. So that's why I have them at 9-7. And my Broncos, no matter who the quarterback will go, it works, but how it goes is how it goes. I just think our defense is too good. I don't think we need to score many points. I mean, we won with a one-legged Peyton Manning last year, so we can do it again.
Anybody want to start off rebuttals, comments? Purvis, you want to start us off?
I mean, shit. I think he hit the nail on the head, honestly. And I'm still kind of asleep.
I think that Denver's probably going to take the division again, but I actually personally think that Oakland will be the number 2 team in that division. I think losing Sean Smith is going to hurt Kansas City more than people realize. They got a really good, a really solid defense, but I think that he was really one of the guys that kind of set the tone physically for that secondary. I think they're going to miss that. The pass rush is the same guys. They're a year older, and who knows, those guys can stay healthy. And I really hate Kansas City's offense, especially with Jamal Charles coming off an injury. They held up pretty well last year without him, but I just don't know that that's something they'll continue to do. I think Oakland and Kansas City will be close, but I think that they may be a game or two difference, but you really know what you're getting out of Oakland offensively. They're going to put points on the board, and they keep picking up pieces, at least paying for guys on defense. If those guys come together, I really feel like you might be right about next year being their year, but I think that'll be more for them winning the division. This year, I think they'll be number 2, but it'll really depend on how that defense comes together, especially early. Tony, you got any thoughts?
My first thought was I'm not surprised that a Bronco fan would pick the Broncos first. I do like where he was going with that. I would say that it's the Broncos are walking a fine line. The corpse of Peyton Manning was not good last year, obviously, but it's difficult to expect your defense to be historically great every year. And last year they were very close, if not historically great. And then Peyton cut down the turnovers in the postseason. That's a difficult formula to sustain if your offense is impotent. They have 2 good wide receivers out on the outside, but other than that, what do they really have on offense? Like you said, the loss of Smith in the secondary is good. Like he's one of the few big corners that's actually good. Houston's on pup again. They got Barry in, so that's good. But with Alex Smith as your quarterback, there's a ceiling on that team. When you have a quarterback who just actively refuses to throw more than 10 yards down the field and you're not Tom Brady, how do you win that way? As far as the Raiders, not really buying the Raiders' hype, honestly. I've been doing a lot of research on Derek Carr and some of the numbers, and they were just not good at all. It appears as though the wide receivers, Amari and Crabtree, were making him look better than what he was, than what his stat line suggested he should. He's definitely a younger guy, so he could improve from that. I don't know though if I'm really buying them. As far as the Chargers, yeah, I mean it's not really much to say. I heard San Diego's a nice place to visit and live, although expensive. So yeah, I mean I don't really know. I like Rivers. You know what I mean? You know that he's gonna give it to you every Sunday. Gates is declining. Melvin Gordon, I don't like him in today's NFL. Like he cannot catch the ball out of the backfield. And he's on my fantasy team of all places. So good luck with that. But I don't really know. Like I don't recall actually. I don't know if fumbling was his thing or did he just have bad hands out of the backfield. We know he just can't catch the ball. And he had the microfracture.
There's a little bit of both. He couldn't catch and yeah.
Okay. Yeah, the Chargers are really nondescript. I mean, it's not really much to say. They got some good defenders. Weddle's gone and his beard. So, that's and they got Verrett in the secondary. And that's really all I can think of that are standout players on their defense. I mean, people go to the games just to say you went to a Chargers game. I don't really know what else to add to that.
Yeah. It hurts because I love Phillip Rivers, but like you said, Lance, he got old. I mean, it doesn't seem – I guess those guys were both – him and Eli are both from 2013, so they're 13 years in. But it seems like he's been playing for a lot longer than that. I feel like when you look at him and how he plays, it just seems like you got guys like Carson Palmer who actually might be older than him that still look like they got some years left. Phillip Rivers looks like a guy who's been done for a couple seasons, and that hurts. That hurts me.
Yeah. Even as with him being on a rival of my Broncos, I do like seeing him play. I like the passion he plays with, but he hasn't shown it the last couple of years. They don't. I can't tell if it's him getting hurt or him just his body breaking down or the fact that that team around him has just been bad. You know, when Gates came back last year, he showed some improvement, but when Gates wasn't there, he looked bad. And I've always thought of him as one of the top quarterbacks in the league, but now I don't know what's going on with him.
Yeah, me either.
Hey man, y'all need to get off of Rivers. I'm pulling AJT over here. I'm looking at his stats. I mean, he's got the last 2 years, 2015 and 2016, he's throwing for 66%, throwing over 4,000 yards, 29 touchdowns last year, 31 touchdowns the year before, 93.8 QBR rating. The last 2 years, 105 before that, and I don't even think he's been lower than 60% completion percentage in the last decade. Rivers ain't the problem. San Diego
Ryan
got more going
Fitzpatrick
on
threw
than
for
Rivers.
30 touchdowns.
Hey, Eric Decker and Brandon
Throwing
Marshall
for that
make it
many
easy.
touchdowns ain't mentioned.
Eric Decker and Brandon Marshall make it great. I didn't say he's putting up the best numbers in the league. I'm saying he's putting up really good numbers considering you can't even name anybody around him over the last 6 years. You can probably name the last 2 years. He's the tight end Antonio Gates or whatever has been helpful, but that dude's always been hurt. Say his name again.
Keenan Allen.
Yeah, Keenan Allen is
Keenan
recent.
Allen.
That's the last 2 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Keenan Allen's been in the league
That's the
3
last
years.
2 years. Keenan Allen's nice.
Yeah, but that's what happened. You put some weapons with him, and he can still be a great quarterback. But, I mean, shit, what does he have in San Diego? Not much going on.
Yeah.
And the defense is up and down every year as well. Rivers hasn't lost shit. That's my favorite quarterback. He ain't lost shit. The thing is, he doesn't have consistent talent around him. I mean, him and Eli have similar situations. The fact that the Giants can't put together a good roster more than 1 year at a time as well. That up and down.
The Giants have put up a lot for Eli to be trash.
Okay,
y'all don't get him started on Eli, man.
I won't go too far into Eli, but you got to admit that Phillip Rivers still has the tools, and he can be one of the top quarterbacks in the league if put in the right situation. But I mean, just like the run he had when LT was there, the Chargers organization doesn't help them succeed. Some teams are just bad teams, and that's what the Chargers are. It's just a bad organization that can't rise to the next level.
That team never, in my opinion, never bounced back from firing Marty Schottenheimer, which they shouldn't have.
They should not have done that.
What was that, 6-8 years ago?
Yeah, I mean, look at how they did
Joey
Joey
Bosa. 14-2. It's ridiculous.
Look at how they did Joey Bosa. I mean, that should tell you all about their organization right there. I mean, I don't really think.
But my bad. But to what you just said, Paris, I agree. I think it's the same as what we had talked back before about these older quarterbacks now not being able to carry teams like we've been seeing for the last decade. So now we're like, well, they're not good anymore. I mean, they used to be able to carry a team. Drew Brees used to be able to carry the Saints to the Super Bowl. Now, he can't even get the team over 500. So I think it's a little bit of that with Phillip because you're like, well, he's always had decent talent, but he's never had great talent around him, and he was always able to win. But now it's like, well, he needs more to win. So I think that's a little bit of it as well.
I think we're getting to a point now where we're really starting to understand the value of a very good quarterback versus a great quarterback. Not to say Drew Brees isn't a great quarterback, but at this point in his career, I don't know if you still consider him great. He's very good. But both of these guys are in situations where they're getting paid like great quarterbacks. They've got history of being great quarterbacks, but are they good enough individually to take a team? Is any quarterback really good enough to go all the way by themselves in today's NFL? Like, how many quarterbacks right now with no weapons can really take you deep into the playoffs. And I know we talked about it a little bit in the group the other day, but realistically, I don't think there's many.
Well, no quarterback can do
Cam
that. I
Newton's
mean,
one.
no, he's
Cam Newton
not.
just did.
No, he didn't.
Just
No,
did.
he didn't. No, he didn't.
Ted
With-
Ginn.
with-
Ted Ginn's a great compliment.
Greg Olsen is like we can't act like the tight end position was just expunged out of the NFL. No, tight ends count too. Yeah, I don't think any quarterback can do it without weapons. I think we have to understand like the relationship between the quarterback and the weapons around him and how much that affects production. Like Rivers last year was 8th in defensive adjusted yards over average per Football Outsiders. I mean, that's not bad. His supporting cast is trash. Like, I don't know, like, who's an above average player on that offense that actually played games last year. Like, Keenan missed how many games last year?
Quite a bit. Quite a bit.
And I'm not as big of a Keenan fan as others are. He's nice, but he's more or less a very good possession receiver. He's not really going to threaten you down the field, so that kind of puts a ceiling on your offense if he's your best receiver.
Rivers can throw though too.
He can throw, but his offensive line last year, and you know me, I don't always put it on the offensive line. You know, sacks is a quarterback stat, pressures are a quarterback stat, but his line last year was truly bad, and it's difficult when you literally have to carry a team with no standouts. Wasn't last year the year that their offensive line suffered 4 or 5 season-ending injuries, or was that the year before last?
I think it was
Year before last.
Okay, but I just don't see a lot of talent there. Again, I've heard it's a nice place to go. I just don't see how much talent they have to win football games. And then when you draft a guy and he actually wants to play, I mean, he didn't really have a choice where he could go, but he wants to get in, and then you bully him. Like, what does that tell your team? Like, whatever.
All right, we're gonna move on to the next division. We're going AFC East. I've got New England winning the division at 11-5. The New York Jets coming up next at 8-8. Buffalo at 7-9, and then Miami I've got at 5-11. I'm gonna start with them and work my way up. Miami's a really interesting team. I like Adam Gase as an offensive mind. They talked a little bit about some of the changes he made from a technique standpoint with Jay Cutler last year, and I'm expecting him to do some similar things with Ryan Tannehill, who looked really good in the preseason. The thing about that, obviously, it's the preseason, so you don't really know how that's going to translate over. Offensively, they still have questions. I don't really know how I feel about their run game. JG might be good, but he's one-dimensional. He doesn't catch the ball. He doesn't block. And Arian Foster, this will be the first time we've ever seen him outside the zone blocking scheme, and he hasn't been healthy in ever. So their run game is going to be a question. Their secondary is a huge question. I was looking at their roster. I can't look at their roster and tell who their starting corners are. Byron Maxwell, I know they brought in to start, but I don't know that you trust him after anything he's done outside of Seattle. Bobby McCain was the only other name that I recognized, I think. And they just signed Chris Culliver, who played with us last year, but he's coming off ACL injury. So I can't look at their secondary and tell you who the starters are. And in today's NFL, that's a bad sign. They're going to really have to hope that the money they spent on that pass rush is going to work out. Sue didn't work out that great last year. Mario Williams is honestly, I think, more of a name at this point in his career. Not to say he's not good, but most of what you fear about him is based off what he's done and like way back as opposed to what's going on recently. And Cameron Wake's coming off an Achilles injury. So they've got 3 guys with really big names and I think matching price tags, but if those 3 guys don't get it going like we expect, they're not going to be able to stop anybody. I think the only games that they really have a chance of swinging are against teams that run more than pass. Tennessee and LA will both be games that'll be huge for them outside of conference. Those are the only two games I can really see them winning. Buffalo is a team that I absolutely love. I hated to put them at 7-9, but looking at the schedule, they've got a lot of questions on offense. I absolutely love Robert Woods, but I don't know if he's ever going to turn into the receiver that he looked like the first half of his rookie season. He hasn't really shown it since, and may never actually do so. And if that ends up being the case, that offense is kind of one-dimensional. Tyrod Taylor's my guy, and I think he will take another step this year, but the question with that is going to be how far he can take him. Can LaShawn McCoy stay healthy, and who is his backup? Is Reggie Bush the second-best running back on that team? You got a lot of questions about them offensively. The defense should be solid, but then your question with that is, what kind of coach is Rob Ryan now? Like, if he's the defense coordinator, can that defense be trusted? When is the last time he put together a defense that really looked like they were as fearsome as even as his brother put together? And not even, some of the top names in coaching out there. The Jets are putting a lot of faith in Ryan Fitzpatrick. Linton, I think, we're both in agreement that I don't necessarily see him being better than Geno Smith. He's a guy who's bounced around and been terrible at points in his career. So their offense, I think, is going to be really interesting. I like the signing of Matt Forte in name, but I don't know that their run game got a lot better than it was last year. I really like Kyrie Robinson as a backup, but is Matt Forte as a running back head and shoulders above at this point in his career Chris Ivory? Obviously, he's a better receiver, but I don't really know that they really use that in Chan Gailey's offense. So I don't know what that's going to do for them. The Patriots, I think, will be an interesting team as always. The first 4 games, I have them going 2-2. I think that it'll be interesting to see how they come out the gate with Garoppolo. Deion Lewis is on PUP list, so he won't be able to play until week 6. So they're going to be short weapons, and I think it's going to be really interesting because they might have the whitest receiving core in the history of the world. They're really excited about Chris Hogan. I think he's going to start with Edelman and the kid they got from St. Louis a couple years ago, whose name escapes me at the moment. But they should be really interesting. Yeah, Danny Amendola.
Rams fan, baby.
I can't think of the last time you had a team that was good with 3 white wide receivers. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but it's just not a thing that you see.
Oh my gosh. They bring light skin back in New England.
60s.
So their offense will be in good shape though. We know it. You'll get out of Edelman and Amendola. They've got 2 huge tight ends, Gronkowski and Black Unicorn. So I think they'll be fine. Defensively, it's going to be interesting because they aren't a very good pass rushing team outside of Jamie Collins. They got Chris Long, but he hasn't been healthy in the last 2 years and hasn't broken 10 sacks in 4. So I think they're counting on him, especially with Jabal Sheard out for the first half of the season, to really try to generate some pass rush because you need to rush the passer this year. I mean, in the NFL today, and as much as I like their corners, they're not, guys that are all-world shutdown guys.
Who is?
Patrick Peterson.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
Someone
Okay.
Go look at the numbers. He was number 1 in every defensive cornerback stat.
Okay.
I love me some Patrick
From
Peterson.
your PFF.
I actually have it up right now, which is funny. And actually, his teammate Honey Badger was in front of him, and Jason Verrett from San
played a whole
Diego.
year.
I'm just saying.
13 games, 14 and a half.
He played like 4 games, 5 games.
I'm just he had 900. He had 906 snaps.
Damn.
Patrick Peterson did have an 88 in coverage last year. Only Verrett no. He was 3rd overall. His coverage grade was 4th behind Josh Norman, Verrett, and Honey Badger. Whatever. AFC East. The Patriots are the class of the division. They don't have any real competition again. The Buffalo Bills have the longest active playoff drought, 16 seasons of not going to the playoffs. As far as Buffalo's defense, Rex Ryan completely butchered that defense last year. They were second the year before. They played great defense, great against Denver, great against A-Rod. Um, and then Rex Ryan just came and just made it a dumpster fire. I don't know what happened. Well, I know what happened. He changed it to a 3-4. They don't have 3-4 personnel. So that messed it up. We're all fans of Tyrod. So that's good, but can Sammy stay healthy? Can Tyrod get him the ball on a regular basis? As far as Miami is synonymous with mediocre to me. Again, I like Gase, but how do we separate what he did with Peyton Manning to what Gase actually did? He was in Chicago last year. Jay Cutler was still Jay Cutler. So, like, what did he? I'm not saying he can't coach, but how do we know what his impact on Tannehill will be? Um, yeah, hopefully Wake can stay healthy. You know, they still got Sue. They lost Vernon. Yeah, that's mediocrity personified to me. But you know, with the Patriots, Brady missing 4 games, that will be the advantage teams need to make up ground in that division. As far as the Jets, I don't necessarily think Fitzmagic or Geno is better than Fitzmagic, especially after the year that he had last year. But if you're not buying the fact that you think Fitzmagic can do that again this year, and I'm not in that, I don't think he can. I understand giving Geno a try, but they are building weapons around him. They got Forte to help out of the backfield. Marshall and Decker are still good. I don't know. I think they're starting Jay Samaro at tight end. If I'm not mistaken, they really need to develop that. As far as their defense, Revis is there, but he slipped a bit last year. I don't know. I just don't really see a team challenging the Patriots too much. I really don't.
Yeah, I agree with you there, AJT. It looks like it's the Patriots division. I think everybody knows that going into it. Even with Brady sitting out the first 4 games, you don't feel like any of these other 3 teams are gonna like make up ground during those first 4 weeks, anyways. Because you have so many questions on all 3 teams. You can't really respect Miami because they're always the last 3 or 4 years, especially with Tannehill at the helm. You expect that okay they're going to put it together and turn the corner. I mean, last year I thought they were a playoff caliber team, and then you saw how they played. So it just makes you just wonder that is anybody even trying to compete with the Patriots really? I mean, I'm looking at the teams, I'm looking at the rosters. Personally, I like the Jets to be able to compete in the division, but on the same thread, like I'm not sure that they have a defense that can hold up to play a full season and put them in the playoffs. I mean, I think you're looking at a 10-6, 9-7 New England team, and then you're looking at 8-8 at best coming from the Bills, and then the Jets and Miami both having losing seasons.
I I want to believe in the Jets.
Yeah. I,
Like Turner was saying with the weapons. I've never been a big Eric Decker fan, and probably never will. I love Brandon Marshall, and going back to Matt Forte, how much of what he does will they actually use? Um, it would be nice if they let him be an option. I was just reading, and I'll get to this in a second. It'd be nice if they use him as an option to kind of supplement the passing game because I don't know what kind of intermediate threats they have. I was just reading Jason Morrow. It looks like they say he might not even make the roster, largely because of his blocking. Um, I think Kellen Davis is slated to be their starting tight end. I don't really know much about him. So the offense still has questions. The offensive line's got questions. With DeBerkshire Ferguson retiring, it looks like they were going to ask him to take a pay cut. So he, may not have been too many more years left anyway. But Ryan Clady coming off injury, multiple, you don't really know what that offense is going to look like. And Ryan Fitzpatrick just isn't a guy I think you can trust. So I think they're barely better than Buffalo, and a lot of the question marks of Buffalo are from a coaching standpoint to me. Like you said, they don't really have personnel for the 3-4. I think they were really hoping Shaq Lawson and Reggie Ragland would make a difference there, and both of those guys got hurt. So it'll be interesting to see what their defense does. I think if those two guys were healthy and the defense transitioned a little bit better, they would be better. And that really, to me, is the difference between them being a team that really wants to compete in this division and at 500 or right below.
Looking at this division, it was hard for me because I had high hopes for the Bills. I was like, man, mostly because Tyrod, I want to see him do good and lead them to the playoffs. But with the slew of injuries and dealing with the Patriots, and then I looked at their schedule, I was like, oh no, I don't see them winning more than 7 games, like you said, 8-8 at best. If they sneak one in. So that's simply because of injuries, like you said. The personnel doesn't fit the coaching schemes to me. Like Rex Ryan, Rob Ryan, both 3-4 people. You had a top flight defense when you came in, but they ran a 4-3, and you switch that and go to a 3-4, and the bottom falls out on that defense last year with the same personnel. So, yeah, I understand that. Dolphins aren't worth talking about. It's have been marred in controversy the last few years about off the field stuff, from bullying and all that other BS. So Dolphins ain't nothing. Then Patriots are the Patriots. I mean, they've had the easiest division for the better part of a decade. So actually, since 2001, I mean, they pretty much had the easiest division. So I mean, they don't have any real competition. Even with these 4 games, Tom Brady's out. It's really not going to do anything because none of these teams are good enough to take them off, to take over them. The Jets, I think they have the talent. They have the talent to maybe scare the Patriots, but they don't have the quarterback. I don't think it matters if it was Bryce Petty, if it was Kristen Hackenberg, if it was Ryan Fitzpatrick or Geno. Like, it didn't matter. None of those quarterbacks are good enough. I think they're all pretty much in the same boat. But I guess they want to go with the experience of Ryan Fitzpatrick, knowing that he's going to throw 20 interceptions anyway. I guess that's okay or whatever. Matt Forte, I don't think his style really fits what they're trying to do over there. But he does. I think he does have something left in the tank. But I don't think it fits their style. So Chan Gailey doesn't really, as far as I can remember, he doesn't really use the running backs as much as in the passing game, which is Matt Forte's strength. And then coming off the injury of last year, coupled with his age, I mean, it's going to be hard for him. But yeah, like you said, Patriots easy. They can rest their starters for the first 6 weeks and still win that division, so it doesn't matter.
You know what's strange is, like, we're all saying a very reoccurring theme about this division is, I mean, well, first off, of course, Patriots have it, like, it's already a given before the season, but between the Jets, Bills, and Miami, all you see is potential. Like, everyone started their season like, I want them to win, or I hope that they do better, or I've seen that they could be a team to make playoffs. You got a whole underachieving division here. You got one team constantly being on top, and then everyone else underachieving. I mean, freaking Rex Ryan has changed teams in this division and still can't beat the Patriots. And screw beat the Patriots, make the playoffs. Get your team into a position where they can compete with the Patriots. And it's like, what is it going to take for someone to, like, step up and actually make that division an actual competitive division again? I mean, I personally don't have the answer.
Tom Brady retiring.
But next up.
Just like you guys, like, I mean, I really wish somebody would step up and make it a competitive division.
And what makes it so frustrating is, with all of those teams, It's like they all built up their defenses to stop the Patriots, and it's like, okay, well, you got the defense that can contend with them, but you have no offense. So it doesn't matter how good your defense is. If you can't score something, the Patriots are going to get at least 3 scores. Whether it's 21 points or 17 points, they're going to get 3 scores. So you got to be able to score 3 times. And they just don't have it. They don't have it. I think the best team that can contend with them on paper, at least, was the Bills coming into this season because they have the defense, they have all that explosiveness on offense, and then everybody gets hurt. So I thought they had the best chance with all that speed. If Sammy can stay hurt, Tyrod, you assume he'll take the next step, even though you got a lot of doubters saying, oh, they just didn't have tape on him. Whatever, he can play. So right. I think that was the best team to take that next step. And then you got, like you said, Reggie Ragland gets hurt, who would have been perfect for them. And then you got other guys getting hurt, and it's like, man, come on. And then you got to deal with the regular Rex Ryan BS that he tries to throw out there just to get things riled up. And it's like, man, that team had a chance, and it was over before it started. I'm hoping I'm wrong, though, because I want the Bills to be good.
Let me ask this. What coach could you put in Buffalo, outside of Bill Belichick or like those top flight coaches? Who could you put in Buffalo that would make a difference for that team?
Depends what you're trying to build. Are you trying to have an offensive team or a defensive team?
I think like looking at
or are you saying with the current roster
guys.
Are you saying yeah, it depends. Like there's a lot of variables. So I think an offensive coach would be I think an offensive no. No. Yes. I would not want Chip Kelly with Tyrod. No, he gonna get him sacked.
No, I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about the personnel team. Offensively, his offensive coaching is nice. His offensive style is nice. The thing is, he doesn't. It's like all these other coaches run no huddle. It's no big deal. But you have to get into that rhythm, and it's like he hasn't understood that yet. Like the offense will work in the NFL, but he just doesn't. He doesn't realize that to run a no huddle, you have to get a first down first. You got to get the clock running. You got to get that team. You got to give your defense a breather. You can't run 3 plays in 20 seconds and expect your defense to come out after giving up a 13-play drive, taking 7 minutes off the clock, and then going right back in there. Like he hasn't realized that. I think if he realized that and slowed it down just a little bit, you don't have to go no huddle every single possession. He will be perfect because of that personnel that's there. Now, I would worry about Tyrod a little bit, but I think he's smart enough to get out the way. And really, the best person I think would be, as far as just a head coach there, would probably be Ron Rivera or Pete Carroll because of what they've done thus far with the quarterbacks they got.
I would honestly say Bruce Arians because Bruce Arians is a guy who wants to throw down the field, and Tyrod's one of the best deep ball passers. Like if you're gonna, let's see what Tyrod can do. Like I mean, if he, Bruce built that offense around Carson last year, I don't have any reason to believe that he couldn't build it around Tyrod, and just let him throw the ball deep.
His quarterbacks get smacked a lot though.
They do get smacked a lot, but they can sustain drives. It'll be a better offense. Tyrod would have to learn how to get rid of the ball quicker because I think he had one of the slowest releases last year. But his mobility would help in that regard, and I really think that Bruce would help with that. I really do.
I think that a little bit looking at it from a different angle, not really looking at what like Rex hasn't done with them, but looking at what someone else could do with that team. I think like Lynch was saying, that take away those injuries and on paper they could be a team that could like make some noise and even possibly sneak into the playoffs. But you got to look at how that team was assembled. I think you might even want to look at maybe the general manager is the situation you need to be fixed. You got a good squad. A coach comes in, he should be able to do certain things, but he can't depend on his personnel because you got people having freak injuries that you can't expect, of course, but at the same time, a thorough scouting process, you can get more consistent players. You're getting all these players with high risk, high reward. They have a very high ceiling, but you haven't seen much from them, and then they get hurt before you can see anything develop. I don't want to say I'm like trying to take up for Rex Ryan or anything, but I think if you bring in a coach who can actually develop a system for that team to develop instead of maybe just relying that the players you have in place will be as great as you want them to be, that might help them get to the next level.
I think this is a good time to move on to the next division. So let's go ahead and go with the AFC South, Mr. Turner.
Okay, so full disclosure, I was going to pick the Colts as a division leader. Probably no
No
surprise to
surprise.
y'all, right? But I
No
switched
one's
it,
shot.
and I switched it about 15 minutes ago. So I'm gonna say who I have now. I have Houston at 10-6. You're not a Texans fan, but
I'm
yes, you
from
can throw it up.
Texas.
But you could throw it up. I have
They're my
Houston.
second team.
Oh, okay. I have Houston at 10-6. I have Indy at 9-7. I have Jacksonville at 8-8, and I have Tennessee at 8-8. I think it's going to be a real competitive division. That's another way of saying mediocre. So if you want to call it the NFC East, AFC South, we can do that too. But there's something to me that there's not a super talented team in the division that's going to be able to pull away from any other teams in the division. Each team has flaws that will hold it back. The reason why I changed to Houston, for some reason, excuse me, I'm not as down on Brock as everybody else. I feel like I feel like the way that Newt seems to be able to play with any quarterback, I feel like that helps. I also think that those young wide receivers, especially Fuller, I think Fuller and Braxton are going to be able to get off with Brock. For some reason, I just feel that way. Lamar Miller is a big pickup for them. They'll be able to run the ball a bit more efficiently. He's a good receiver out of backfield. It's just going to be up to Bill O'Brien to actually use him as a running back and don't just keep him chained to the bench. As far as the defense, you got the best player in football in Watt, and Jadeveon has been looking really, really good in the preseason. So I think it starts with the pass rush. Kareem and Joseph, they aren't bad at cornerback. As long as the pass rush is good, they won't be exposed too much. So I think I have the Texans winning it. As far as us, I'm a believer in my guy Luck. I just think that unless Moncrief takes the step forward that a lot of people are expecting him to take, like we don't have a super talented wide receiver core. Frank Gore is ageless and all of that, but he's old. And no disrespect to Frank Gore, but our offensive line isn't going to do him any favors. We lost Fleener, but we still have Dwayne Allen, great blocking tight end, but he's always hurt. And our defense, Vontae's our best defensive player, but, I mean, he's hurt. So, and we don't really have any other standouts at this point. As far as Jacksonville, again, I'm not buying Blake, QB vision cone Bortles. I can't do it. Like, I can't. I love Allen Robinson. I like Hearns. But I can't buy a quarterback who has extreme. He reminds me of Derek Anderson, a mobile Derek Anderson. Like he does. Like now, Derek Anderson had that one good season, when Cleveland went 10-6. But that's what I see for Blake Bortles. I can't really buy into them. Their defense is shaping up to be good. They're young, but this is where Gus Bradley's is going to make his money. Fowler, Jack, Chris Clemens, they got a decent and the rookie, I can't think of his name right now. Was it Jalen Ramsey?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they have the makings of a good defense, but I'm just not a believer unless Allen Robinson is going to bail out Blake Bortles again with all of his errant passes this year. I can't buy that. Um, Tennessee is intrigues me because of Mariota and DeMarcus and Derek look good in the preseason. I just don't know who they're going to throw the ball to on a consistent basis. Um, Wright's a technician, but he's not really a great athlete. He's a slot guy. Justin Hunter's an athlete, but he can't really catch the ball, and he only runs a few routes. And then their defense, they got Casey on the line. He's an underrated beast. I love him, but again, nobody in this division really, really scares you. So, I think Osweiler's an upgrade on the Brian Hoyer, whoever poo-poo platter they had last year, quarterback. And with Watt, Watt doing his thing, as long as he's going to be healthy, and Jadeveon, I feel like Houston will have enough to take the division.
I'm gonna agree with you for once, AJT. No
Oh, now
negative
you
three
want to
here.
agree. Yeah, I was about to say,
No,
now we
no,
keep forward, now you want to agree.
no
Okay.
negative 1-3 here. First, let me set the record straight. I am a Los Angeles Rams fan through and through, but I am from the outskirts of Houston, so I've always been a Texans supporter. That's why I have a Houston Texans shirt on. Okay? So
Okay.
obviously, I agree that they're gonna win the AFC South. I think they're the team with the most talent. I mean, that defense is always pretty legit. I mean, with J.J. Watt, you can't go wrong. And like you said, Jadeveon Clowney is coming along, and that's hard for me to say because heard some personal things about him I don't care for. But anyways,
Do you care to share them?
Right?
oh, I
I mean, I don't want to get you
met
in
I,
trouble or
I
anything, but
no,
if
it
you don't
don't
mind
matter.
sharing.
I know a guy who, when I was in the Houston area, a guy comes and he's like, I met Jadeveon Clowney last night. And I was like, how was it? And he was like, well, I didn't know it was him. So I like walked up and like, are you? And he like finished my sentence saying, yes, I'm Jadeveon Clowney. Now get out my way. I'm trying to eat. It's just like, I wasn't trying to bother him. I just wasn't sure if it was him. I don't know, kind of a dick move. But I mean, when you're famous, you're famous. I guess that's how you act. But and this was like his like rookie season, so I don't know. Maybe the pressure of Houston was too much or something. I don't. Anyways, uh, I believe that with all the new additions that Houston made, especially offensively, I think Fuller and I think Braxton Miller will be one of the X factors for the Texans, but I don't think this is the season for it. I think he'll spend the season getting more reps. He's still trying to transition into that wide receiver role. But I think he'll be really good. I don't think they'll cut him or anything. But I think this year, I think Fuller is the guy that's going to complement DeAndre Hopkins. And I think Osweiler has the tools in Houston because that defense is always going to keep them in the game. As long as they're in the game, Osweiler knows from when he was with the Broncos. It's just yours not to lose, buddy. I think you can do that in Houston, and it's very good that you get to play the Titans and the Jaguars for 4 of your games in the season because those two teams they're still rebuilding. I agree that the Colts might come in second, but I don't trust the Colts. I don't trust Andrew Luck. Um, I think after last season not meeting expectations and a lot of the pressures that's going towards him going into the season to redefine himself being one of the next great quarterbacks, he don't have anybody to throw to. How are you going to become a? We said this earlier. Like, what quarterback can just take a team and do it by themselves besides Tom Brady? The name ain't Andrew Luck. That's for damn sure.
First
So
of all,
with
Tom
that,
Brady doesn't do it by himself. See, okay. All right. All right.
okay. I heard Tom Brady's name. Sorry,
Okay.
but either way, it's not going to be Andrew Luck. And I mean, it's unfortunate for the Colts, but I personally think that the Colts are going to be looking at an 8-8, 9-7 type season if they're lucky, but definitely no playoffs this year. And you gotta respect that Jacksonville has all the talent to be a sleeper playoff team this year. Will they? I don't know. I don't know if all the pieces will fit together and they just make that run, but they definitely are on the level of being one of the better teams in the AFC South. The Texans, their window is closing. Even though they put together this great roster, that defense is not as good as it was 2 or 3 years ago. It's not as dominant as it was. Their division is catching up. In 2 to 3 years, the Titans and Jacksonville should be fighting for that division. It's I think this is one of the most competitive divisions potentially. But all of these teams have future rosters that it looks like they'll be able to compete against each other except for maybe the Texans. The Texans have a little bit of a mixed match roster considering their defense is so experienced and now their offense is bringing in new people. So this is the year the Texans have to make the playoffs and try to make a push deep into the playoffs for once. But you were right on the money with having them winning the division. Can't disagree with that.
Uh, luck. Trash. Anyways, uh, this division is tough simply because, as Turner alluded to in his opening segment, it reminds me so much of the NFC East not too long ago when all the teams, you never know who was going to win the division, but it wasn't because they was all good, because they was all bad teams. And that's how I feel right now with this slew of characters in this division. The Texans, I probably lean towards them simply because they won it last year. That's really the only reason. And the only reason they won it last year really is because Luck was hurt. But I don't think that Colts team is very good, to be honest with you. I think you have a team with a young quarterback surrounded by old players, and there's old players who aren't great. There's old players who are just decent, and that's what the Colts have right now. They really need to rebuild, but you really can't say you need to rebuild when just a couple of years ago you were in the AFC Championship and you got Andrew Luck, so you don't want to say, oh yeah, we're rebuilding. Plus, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure they don't have a lot of cap room anyway, so they're pretty much stuck with what they got. So the Colts are what they are. They're gonna lean heavily on Andrew Luck every year until they find a way to get some more cap room, and it's not gonna work. He's not that guy. Why I don't buy the hype this year. I think they're in the same boat as the Raiders, as I said earlier. I think they have a lot of young talent that show a lot of promise, but this ain't the year for them. I'm not a Bortles fan. I don't think he's that good. I think he's okay. I think he's decent enough. I mean, you need decent quarterbacks. Everybody can't be a great quarterback. You need capable starters, and he's a capable starter. So you could, with the talent on offense around him and the talent on defense, if they come together as you think they will be, then yeah, he can lead that team to something in a few years. But this ain't the year for them. And then the Titans, same thing. I like Mariota and what he showed at the end of the year, but that's all they got. The defense is actually better than people give them credit for. The defense is actually pretty good. The offense is what's not bad. I had them doing a lot better until they traded Green Beckham out the blue. I was really thrown off by that. I don't follow the Titans as much, so I'm not sure the ins and outs. Was he a bad practice player? They weren't developing him, or he wasn't developing like they thought they would. But someone with that size, that skill set, I would think that would be someone that you want to hold on to. So there's got to be something. I don't see who Mariota's going to throw the ball to now. I guess he's just going to hand it off to Derrick Henry and DeMarco Murray every play. I guess that's their plan going in.
Yeah.
But as Purvis said, I think the most talented team is the Texans on paper. Like I know he's a big Ohio State fan, but I love Braxton Miller. I loved him. He can ball. Braxton Miller is a baller. I knew that when he was at Ohio State, and then like I said, I'm here in Houston. I've gone to a couple other practices and whatnot. I've seen the preseason games. Braxton Miller can ball, man. If he gets it together and learns the position like a pro receiver should, he's gonna be a baller, man. It's so much speed, quickness. He's just natural instincts, man. He can play. Brock, I saw him in Denver. I've seen him up close and personal here in Houston. He has an arm. I'm kind of reluctant to see his decision making as that continues, but I think that's just a factor of being young. You know, he's a young guy, so he hasn't played much. He's been in a few years, but he hasn't played much. So you can't expect him to act like a 10-year vet when he hasn't played, but 8 games in the NFL. And it's not like he did poorly in those. He had a couple bad games, but I think is the defense really. I think the offense might have to carry the defense this year for the Texans, which is a switch from what has been going on in the past because J.J. Watt's not going to be J.J. Watt this year. I'll go off right now. You have 2 back surgeries in the span of a summer. You're not coming back from that, man. Especially the way he plays, where he's bull rushing and he's muscling guys. You can't. So they have to have Clowney, who has stepped up this preseason. I mean, him rushing the passer hasn't produced the numbers that people want to see and people ooh and ah about. But if you look at what he's done against the run and in coverage the last year that the games he's been healthy in, he has been doing really well. And you also have to factor in that he's learning a new position. He's not playing a 4-3 defensive end anymore. He's playing a 3-4 outside linebacker. So I think this is the year he puts it together if healthy. But like Arian Foster, you never know when he's actually going to be healthy. So you got to take that with a grain of salt. But I got the Texans winning it. I actually got them winning it at 8-8, and everybody else is pretty much either 7-9 or 6-10 because I don't think that's a good division at all. I think there's a lot of talent in that division. It's just not a good teams.
At least give them 9-7, man. At least give them 9-7. Shit.
Have you seen the schedule?
Oh, I
don't see
believe
9-7.
Yeah, I believe you though.
I think this is going to be one of the tighter divisions, like you just said, Lent. No team is spectacular in the division. I think that Houston will go either 10-6 or 9-7, something like that, and Tennessee may go 6-10. First off, I'm not really impressed by Tennessee's offense at all. They've got 2 downhill, straightforward north-south runners. I don't know if they've got anybody with speed even at the running back position that can get outside. The pass game doesn't scare me at all. I'm one of those people that's really not impressed by Mariota. I can't really name any actual wide receiver on their team. They've got a lot of guys with speed. Nobody on their team can really run routes. Nobody on their team can really catch the ball that great. So who is Mariota throwing the ball to, even if he does get it together? The defense, like you said, Lynch is all right. But in the NFL today, you got to be able to score points at some point. Tennessee can't really do it. I feel exactly the same way Lynch does about Jacksonville. They're young. Next year might be a better year for them. The defense is super young, super young. They spend a lot of money on guys, or at least one guy in particular, who I don't think is going to be that great. Malik Jackson's, he's an all right guy. He's a pretty decent run stopper. I don't know if he's going to be worth $90 million. And like everybody else, I'm not impressed by Blake Bortles. I think it's exciting that he's a Florida guy, and it'd be nice for him to lead that team and turn them around, being he's from not far from there. But I haven't seen him do anything from a quarterbacking perspective that instills a lot of confidence in me. I will say this though, I think in 2 years, Jacksonville will be better than the Colts, even with Andrew Luck, whether he can find a way to stay healthy or not. I don't think that he's going like that team's going to be anything. Actually, we were talking about the Chargers after they fired Monty Schottenheimer, and I think that that same type of team is what the Colts are going to end up being. If you remember, for 2, 3, 4 years after when North Turner was the head coach in San Diego, you still had all the big names, but slowly but surely, all of the talent around those names kind of disappeared. I think that this Colts team is going to end up being that same way. In a couple of years, you'll realize, okay, we got Andrew Luck, we've got 1 or 2 guys that you might recognize, but the majority of our talent left, and we didn't really replace it. Their offensive line has issues. They just lost, I think, their right guard, Muhort. I think they said he tore his ACL or MCL one. So you got a bad offensive line that just lost one of their starters. And they don't seem to be – I don't know if they've drafted or just haven't drafted well in the offensive line, but they can't figure out ways to protect Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck doesn't make it any easier on them. So I really think that team is on the way down, even with Andrew Luck, especially now with his contract, because he's getting ready to get super paid. Houston is an interesting team. I think that one of the things that hasn't really been talked about is that speed on offense. Lamar Miller is a guy who can flat out run. I think he wants to be between tackles guy, which is great and all, but his speed is really his best asset. Fuller's a fast guy. Hopkins is a fast guy. Braxton Miller isn't as fast as the other guys, but he's shifty. So this is a team, if Brock can get these guys the ball in space, that can absolutely make some noise after the catch. And I think that that's going to be really interesting as the season goes on, seeing how those guys just perform in space. They can be a team that surprisingly puts up some points. I don't think they're going to be, looking at like Pittsburgh trying to score 30 points a game, but they'll be a team to be between 17 and 24, 28 every week. And you've got a
don't get it twisted, man. Braxton ran a 4.3. He can fly too.
True.
Yeah, but game speed. Not running in his tights and no clothes on one line. He's fast, but he's not DeAndre Hopkins fast.
Right. So I mean, but
okay, I give you that.
He can still make moves in space though. So all 3 of those guys, all 4 of those guys, featuring Lamar Miller, like those be guys that once they get the ball, they can really do some stuff. So that's going to be really interesting. Jadeveon Clowney, I just don't know if he's going to be healthy ever. I think part of the reason he's had these problems because he's playing in space for the first time. I think him transitioning to outside linebacker has kind of contributed to his injuries. But like Purvis said, this defense is kind of running out of time. I think they've got maybe 2 years before it's all offense, and you're looking at what are our answers on defense. But in the next couple of years, it'll be interesting. With the guys they brought in, Osweiler and Lamar Miller, both being guys going into their prime, these next 3 seasons will be, I think, big for them. So it'll be interesting to see what they can turn into. I think next year may be a better year for them too, but this conference, this division is going to be really close. Indiana might be able to surprise, but I doubt it. So to me, it kind of looks like Houston, and then everybody else kind of in a jumble. We'll go ahead and let Purvis finish up AFC North. And we'll see where we go from there.
Okay. Yeah, AFC North, I think it's going to be a pretty decent division. I always like AFC North, but I got Pittsburgh winning the division at 11-5, Cincinnati coming in second at 10-6, Baltimore going 5-11, and Cleveland going 4-12. Basically, it's a 2-team race. It used to be a 3-team race, but Baltimore's on a decline right now. So it's out of Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. I don't trust Cincinnati. You shouldn't trust Cincinnati either. Boys, even if they make the playoffs, they're going to lose in the first round. Marvin Lewis' job is on the spot. Everybody knows that. But that's not even the big deal. The thing is, Pittsburgh has evolved, and like I don't know if everybody has noticed, but Pittsburgh used when Pittsburgh and Baltimore were fighting each other for playoff spots and trying to win the division, it was always a defensive like slugfest. Who's going to be the first one to score 14 points and win? Now you look at freaking Pittsburgh; they're putting up almost 30 points every week and saying, "Outscore us if you can." Ben, Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, and this year they're gonna bring Sammy Coates into the fold since they lost Martavius Bryant. This team is ready to like explode, and it's the last 2 or 3 years. Even if they're not winning the division, you fear them more than you fear Cincinnati, and there's no reason that this is going to change this year. Cincinnati is all pressure this year. They're pressured that not only do they need to win the division, but they need to win a game in the playoffs. They have so much going on outside of just winning week in, week out, and I don't think they have any players that are gonna step up to like make that change for them. Marvin Lewis is I want to say he's a decent coach because he gets his team to playoffs. They've been in the playoffs 5 years straight, but at some point you have to decide like, do you want to be this team who's always good, never great, or does the team need to rebuild and restructure? I don't know, but they're not they're not making any waves. They're going to be Cincinnati, who you can expect. They're going to win at least 10 games. They either going to make wild card or they're going to win the division by beating if Pittsburgh has injuries of some sort and slows them down. Then you have Baltimore and Cleveland. We won't talk about Cleveland because everybody knows what Cleveland's going to do. But Baltimore is a team that I feel for every year because I miss the days when they were a team that could compete. But since they've decided that Flacco is the guy, they've basically given up their future. They said Flacco's our franchise elite quarterback, and he has not proven any of those words to be close to being true. And there's your downfall. Like it doesn't matter what you do, who you put around him, he's not the guy, and they've committed to him. I'm gonna throw this out there, similar to how the Cowboys committed to Tony Romo. God damn it,
Oh,
you can't make a guy. You can't make a
oh,
guy. You can't make a guy the center of your team, and he doesn't have what it takes to take him to the next level. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger came to Pittsburgh handing the ball off to Jerome Bettis. Now look at him. He throwing wherever he wants to, whenever he wants to,
He
and it's his
handing the ball
team.
off to Le'Veon Bell.
Hey, hey. So you tell me Antonio Brown isn't one of the best receivers in the league? I mean,
no,
Ben
he
has
is the
something to do
best
with
receiver
that.
in the league.
And
Yeah.
they're still, like I
He's
said,
one. He's one of
they're
them.
they're scoring 30-some points a game, and Le'Veon Bell is playing half seasons because he's getting injured. Okay, so don't take it away from Big Ben. He is Big Ben. You know that if you got Big Ben, you got a chance to win. But do you know that if you got Joe Flacco, Andy Dalton, or Robert Griffin, that you got a chance to win?
Oh.
No, I don't want to
Come
talk
on,
about that
guys.
like that. I said I was gonna leave Cleveland alone. Let me leave Cleveland alone. They got enough issues, but it just goes that that's how the division is shaping up. Cincinnati is a great team. I think AJ Green is losing his valuable years. He's getting that Calvin Johnson treatment because I mean, or even more like Larry Fitzgerald treatment. He just needs somebody to come in 1 year, take him to Super Bowl so he can feel good about himself or something. But as long as Cincinnati believes that Andy Dalton is the guy, and even behind him, AJ McCarron, I think that's the name. Damn it, I can't get his name
Yeah,
right.
Adrian
Yeah,
McKay.
it's McCarron. It's one of them Alabama quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
That says enough right there for what's going on behind you. It's an Alabama quarterback. How much success has Nick Saban had with quarterbacks in the NFL? Not much. He's not a running back. So I mean, Marvin Lewis is put together a pretty good team, but your central figure isn't going to take you to the next step, and there needs to be something done. I think they have a better roster than Pittsburgh does to be successful, but I think that the coaching. There needs to be a coaching change so they can go to the next level. And then I still feel for Baltimore. I want them to be good, but Flacco will never let that happen. Just like the Cowboys and Tony Romo. But he's hurt this year, so it might go all the way. I know that's way off base, but I just had to throw it out there.
Man,
Gotta take a shot.
Yeah.
that hurts me. I hate to agree with you, but I do agree with Cincinnati. I think they've hit their ceiling both with their staff and with some of their personnel, especially losing two of their receivers. And one of the things that made them the most dangerous last year was being able to spread out and go, three wide with three guys who, A, were huge, and B, could all catch the ball. Obviously, A.J. Green ain't going nowhere, but, you go from three guys you know for a fact to, all right, what else do we have? I love Marvin Lewis, but I think you might be right about there being time for a coaching change. I think that losing Hugh Jackson is going to hurt more than people realize, because he really did a good job crafting that offense around what Andy Dalton did well, and hiding what he didn't do well. And I think that,
I agree, yeah.
I think that we're going to see not necessarily regression from Andy Dalton, but he won't play the same way he played last year, getting the ball out so quickly, letting guys get the ball in their hands and make a lot of plays, the things that made them really good in the passing game last year. So they'll probably still be the second best team in the division, but they won't look the same. And like you said, if they make the playoffs, that's really where you're going to see the fall off. Pittsburgh's offense, I think, is one of the best, if not the best, in the NFL, and it's hard to slow that down. They're going to win games just because people can't outscore them, regardless of what their defense does. They've got a lot of question marks on defense. I don't know if Jarvis Jones is the starter outside linebacker or not, but they don't know what the hell he's going to be. The defensive line has new faces and question marks, but it doesn't really matter. They're going to score like they've been aiming for 35 points a game, and there's no reason to believe they can't come damn close. And that's going to carry them for a lot of games. Whereas Houston is the number 2 team for purpose. Baltimore is my second favorite team because I got a lot of family there. I spend time up there. And I want to be optimistic about the Ravens. The last 2 years, they've had either key injuries or lots of injuries. Last year, everybody on their team was hurt. I think this year, if they can come back and be healthy, they will be a player in this division. But even with that, they have so many question marks on their defense, especially at linebacker, definitely in the secondary, that they need Joe Flacco, like you said, to be what they think he is. They need to be the same type of team Pittsburgh is, that comes up and scores a lot of points. And I don't know that they have that ability anymore. So unless they just surprise on defense, I can't see Baltimore going more than 7-9, which hurts me. But that's the reality. And I think Cleveland's going to be really interesting to watch. The offense is going to be entertaining as hell in my mind. Josh Gordon and Terrell Pryor, if they keep letting Robert Griffin get the ball out quick like he has been, 1 or 2 step drops in his first or second look, they're going to be pretty good offensively. The defense is going to be nightmarish. But Hugh Jackson's going to make some serious strides this year. And I think that, honestly, RG3 may be their guy relatively long term. Cody Kessler, I think, is going to end up being a backup because he's terrible. And I don't think that Hugh can fix that. So I really think they are tying their ship to Robert Griffin, and we'll see how it goes.
This division doesn't really have much to talk about outside of Pittsburgh and Cincinnati, so I'll start there. Bell missing 3 games in the beginning of the season again can be a big loss. I personally think he's the best running back in football. I prefer versatility over just pure running, and I like my running backs to be able to do everything, not just run the ball. Antonio Brown is the best wide receiver. He's probably one of the best 5 or 10 players in football. Um, Ben has really come into his own. He's a one quarterback. He's an elite quarterback, and
And he
that
makes it by
defense.
himself.
I mean, yeah, sure. I mean, I don't think any quarterback can do it, but I think he's one of the ones that comes close for sure. Um, the defense, I don't think the defense doesn't scare me as much as it does to some. Like the defense was actually pretty good last year. They were about average, a little bit above, and with that offense, that's good enough. Like you don't really need to have the 85 Bears when you're putting up 35 points a game, so that's good. Cincinnati, Dalton was an MVP candidate before he got hurt to me. So I was definitely on that train. Again, AJ Green is a stud. Hopefully Jeremy Hill can cure his fumbling issues. And Giovanni Bernard, they still make a good 1-2 punch. Eifert is a stud tight end. He's hurt though, but hopefully he'll come back and help them. As far as the defense, their defense is still good. Yeah, I forgot. I think Reggie Nelson is still there. Pac-Man is still there. Leon Hall is still there. No, I'm sorry, Leon Hall is not still there. But Dre Kirkpatrick, they have a good overall team. So, but y'all mentioned Hugh Jackson and Robert and RG3. Like RG3 still got sacked 5 times the other day. In his last preseason game. I just think that that's just a part of his DNA. Like Hugh can do what he can, but on those routes that require the wide receivers to go deep, you're taking a chance at that point. In Baltimore's really nondescript to me. I would rather watch The Wire at this point than watching the Ravens play. I don't really see anything for me that says that they're going to be like they don't have an outstanding offense. Their defense isn't as good. I just don't I don't see any Baltimore hype. Flacco's is below average, average to below average. Yeah, I mean I don't really see anything there to make me think it's going to be anything other than Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. Um, I would pick Pittsburgh to win the division and Cincinnati getting a wild card.
Was that Baltimore dig a shot at The Wire? Shit.
No. I said I would rather watch The Wire than watch the Ravens. Yeah,
Okay,
The Wire was awesome. Yeah.
Okay.
But The Wire's dope. Ravens,
Okay.
however, are not.
I'm pretty much in the same boat as y'all. It's rare that we all pretty much agree, but I mean, this division has been the same pretty much since the Ravens have won the Super Bowl. It's been a 2-team division between the Steelers and the Bengals, with the Bengals being the best team in the division, and I don't think it's close, but they just can't get over the hump. I don't know what it is. I think since 2012, really, before it was Andy Dalton holding them back. They couldn't get over the hump because of Andy Dalton. They had the defense. They had the receivers. They had the running back. They had the line. They had everything except for quarterback. Then Andy starts putting it together last year. Like, okay, this is the year. And then he gets hurt. And then they lose in the first round, as they've been doing. I hate to say this is a make or break for Marvin simply because the Bengals have stuck with him this long because the Bengals have been terrible forever. And now they have somebody who's been able to get them from being a nothing to a contender every single year. Like, I don't think people understand how hard it is to be a contender year in and year out, and that's what the Bengals are right now. So I want to say I have them winning, but I have them taking a step back. I just think it's their window is pretty much shut. Like Purvis said, AJ Green. When I remember when AJ and Julio both came out, it was both of these guys are unbelievable, and now it seems like AJ Green is getting left behind because he hasn't had a quarterback that can consistently get it to him where he's just putting out. I mean, they're talking more about Marvin Jones than they are A.J. Green. Like, really? Like, come on now. I know there's been injuries and whatnot, but, I mean, then you got the Steelers who that's hard to beat right there. That triplet they got over there with Bell and Brown. I'm not one of the people who thinks Antonio Brown is the best in the league. I have him as second best, but he is that dude. You really can't hate on what he does. And Le'Veon Bell is a monster when he's not smoking, or maybe the smoking helps him be a monster. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how it works. Yeah, Ricky was a monster. Maybe more players need to start smoking. But Big Ben, I joke on him, but I mean, you can't hate on his talent. He produces. He produces. So, and then I don't got nothing to say about the Browns. I just hope they win 6 games, really, just so people won't be on RG and Hughes back. 6 games is all I want from them. Because I mean, the Browns are terrible, man. They've been terrible for a while, a long time. I mean, ain't nothing you can really do about that. Not in a year. But I say give them 2 years, they should be all right. And the Ravens are the Ravens. Like y'all said, once they gave Flacco that money, it was done. When Ed Reed is gone and Ray Lewis is gone, there was nothing else for that team. It was over.
Ray Rice gone.
Oh God. Oh God.
Mr. 3.6.
Y'all shady, man. That ain't right. That ain't right, man.
Forsett has been decent, but he's no Ray Rice. I'm just saying.
No, he's no Ray Rice.
Start this year.
Yeah, I was gonna say. Yeah, Forsett.
Exactly why he's no Ray
After
Rice.
that one career year, Forsett went back to being Justin Forsett.
Went back to his real self. That makes sense.
Right. I think Baltimore's going to be interesting, and I'm going to try not to talk too much about them. Just with the 2 rookies on the left side of the line, that's going to be one of those things where it's going to hurt a lot early. It may be good in the future, 2, 3, 4 years from now. But Flacco's blind side, and as a Redskins fan, and who had to watch us destroy Jason Campbell's confidence, this is the kind of stuff that really gets a quarterback messed up. When you feel like you can't trust those guys on your blind side, especially when you're talking about a $100 million quarterback, this will be a huge year for them for their future. Because if those 2 guys don't pan out, Flacco hasn't really been healthy. He hasn't done a good job of taking hits the last couple of years anyway. So let him be hits he's not seeing coming, and let him start rushing the ball like Jason Campbell did with us. And that team's going to be even more interesting for the next couple of years. I still trust in Ozzie. I still think they've got a lot of young pieces on defense, so they might be creeping on a come up, but their come up's not going to come this year.
I think Joe Flacco has reached the Eli Manning territory where people don't really criticize him, even though they probably should. I think that's where he's reached now. Like, Flacco's definitely not infallible. But people let him off the hook. Like, who's the backup quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens?
Ryan
Mallett. So who's the backup quarterback for the Baltimore Ravens? Just like the Giants, who's the backup quarterback? Is it anybody that has a realistic, credible threat of unseating them? Okay.
Mm.
All right. I was just asking. Pay me no mind. Don't pay me any mind.
On that, Flacco might do like Eli. Once that first Super Bowl wore off, and they're like, well, we can start criticizing him again. He won another one. So maybe Flacco will do that.
Don't say Eli won another one, though. I mean,
Eli was
on a team that won another one.
No, Purvis
don't. Quarterback all time. So
look. Now Purvis wants to acknowledge team. Come on, man. Like you the main one talking about individuals. Where now you want to acknowledge team. All right, man. I can't
I'm not giving Eli Manning any credit. I just can't give him any credit. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm not mad at you. I just
Eli is terrible. Terrible.
I like the Giants though.
I'd like to take a moment of silence for Teddy Bridgewater's knee.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's good. That team's gonna be interesting.
Man, I got so many. I have never been tagged in so many posts about a player that's not on my team and received so many messages about someone not on my team. Like everybody, like, hey, Lynch, Teddy Bridgewater hurt. Lynch, Teddy Bridgewater. I'm like, God damn. It did hurt me. It did hurt me. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope they do terrible, so I don't have to hear people say that. See, it wasn't Teddy.
The thing about it, for me at least,
Turner.
Taylor Heineke will be back in October. I know y'all don't care, but that's my quarterback. I really would like to see him get a fair chance because Sean Hill's terrible. I think Heineke can really sling it, and he actually was their number 2 quarterback last year over Sean Hill. So when he comes back after he heals, I think that he'll play just well enough where you can take some of the heat off Adrian Peterson. I don't know if it'll be enough for them to make any noise in the NFC, but I think it'll be enough where, a year from now, people will actually know where Old Dominion is. Obviously, that's not the point, but that's my quarterback. So.
Yo, what I'm trying to figure out is why is it every time a quarterback has been hurt this offseason, people are talking about one of them McNown brothers taking over. What the hell? Why are they still in the league?
You know what's
I don't
funny
understand
about
that
that?
crap.
You know what's funny about that? Both of them dudes have been really bad for a decade.
And still in the league.
Right.
Well, Josh had that season where he led the league in QBR. That was the year Peyton Manning threw the 55 touchdown passes, and I was singing Mark Trestman's Graces. That just goes to show you the NFL just changes very quickly. Because Trestman is on the Raisins. the Ravens. And who does Josh play for now?
Luke, you mean Josh McCown is still in Cleveland. Luke is in New Orleans.
New Orleans, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
The crazy part is that they've played on the same teams but at different times. You know how hard it is when you look up McCown to see stats and you're like, shit, which one am I looking at? Is this Luke or is this what's the other one name? Mike?
Josh.
Josh.
You say Mike?
The first time I heard of McCown, I didn't know which was which, and I still don't know what the second one's name. I don't even like it. It confuses me.
I used to know which one played for the Dolphins.
They both played for the Browns and the Cardinals, and one of them played for the Saints twice.
Are you serious? Are you serious right now? Hold on,
they're
man.
two journeymen. It's hard as hell to keep up with them. With the same name. I look at last names first. I call everybody by their last name, and it's McCown. They're like, McCown is doing really good. Okay, McCown's doing it. How the hell is he on 2 teams?
On the bench.
Yeah, how is he playing for 2 teams? I've heard about him over here and over here. Who the hell is this dude? That would make me look up the guy a couple years ago. And I looked up and I'm like, there's 2 of them. Oh shit! I had no idea.
I would just like to talk about since we mentioned in bad quarterbacks, Christian Ponder's still in the league. So,
Oh God!
Not for another week. For another week.
Yeah.
Nah, he gonna stay. Colin's gonna have to go.
Oh, let's not get into that. Because we can go for another hour talking about everything that's Colin Kaepernick related right now.
Wow. Yes.
I still don't understand how we're having actual conversation about Blaine Gabbert starting a quarterback for an NFL team.
Let's not do this.
How?
No. We're not going. No. No.
Terrible quarterback.
We'll say that for next week.
I have an NFC West, so I'm excited about that. Got some stuff to say.
Next week's gonna be fun. Let's leave that for next week. So, we'll each pick a team we think is gonna go to the AFC champion or the Super Bowl, represent AFC, and then quickly why. Lynch, you want to start it off?
No. But I will. Okay. I say no because I still really haven't decided, but I had to go with the Steelers simply because, unlike the NFC, to me, there's no real top threat in the AFC. So it's pretty much a jumble of teams, and I think of that jumble, the Steelers are the most complete. I think on offense, the offense is explosive all over the field. So I think it may be a little less explosive with Martavius Bryant gone for the year, but or suspended. So, but I think that team is just too good on offense. I think that defense was young, is really young, but it's so much talent on the team from Bud Dupree to Ryan Shazier. That team is loaded, and I think they have the best coach, who some people might not like as a coach, but I like that coach, Mike Tomlin. They got over there. He gets things done. He's got him a ring, so I think they can win it all again.
For the record, man, I don't hate Mike Tomlin, man. I just think he's overrated.
I didn't say your name. I said people.
Nah, man. I like Tomlin, man. I just think he's overrated. That's all. Okay, my bad. Go ahead, somebody.
I wanted you to go next, Turner. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. My pick was the Steelers. I'm not going to pick the Steelers because everyone was going to pick the Steelers. So I'm going to switch mine to the Bengals, and it's not really unrealistic. I think that the Patriots get themselves in a hole this year, 2-2, and they don't have home field advantage. And just like with any other football team, home field advantage is key. The Patriots aren't the same on the road as they are at home. That's not any different than any other football team. Excuse me. I do believe this is the year. Andy started it last year. I do believe this is the year he maintains his MVP level play. And I believe Cincinnati takes that step forward. They're my AFC pick.
I'm gonna go. I was also gonna go Steelers, but I'm gonna change mine since Turner changed his. I'm actually gonna go with the Patriots. I think that once they get healthy, Deion Lewis comes back, Jabal Shear comes back, Sebastian Vollmer comes back, Tom Brady gets going. I think that they play just like the Patriots of old. I think that they're going to do something that we haven't seen in 30 years and have a team with mostly white skill players go to the Super Bowl. I think that it'll be too newsworthy not to happen. With Rob Gronkowski, Chris Hogan, who I'm really interested to see why they were so excited about getting him. I think that Bill Belichick knows something about that kid, and he's usually been right in the past. So they're going to have a lot of guys that just play football fundamentally well on the offensive side of the ball. Deion Lewis.
Fast.
Deion Lewis and LeGarrette Blount being that thunder lightning type of combination, and their defense having just enough pass rush to get them through to the Super Bowl. I think that they'll be one of those teams that what's coming and still can't find ways to stop it, and that'll take them all the way through.
Yeah, and they got 32 first-round picks since they didn't have a first-rounder this year.
Right.
I want to touch on that Patriots comment about the light skins going to the Super Bowl real quick. Let's just be truthful here.
No.
I try not to be. I mean, I think we're all black. Anyways.
Oh my God.
Let's be honest here.
Why can't you just say white, man? It's okay to say white.
We all know that even if that were the case, that they did have all Caucasian skill players, that would not be the narrative. It would be the narrative for guys like us, but we all know that would not be the media narrative. It'd be on the side, the guys like us saying it, but it wouldn't catch any traction. And we all know why.
They made a huge deal about Peyton Hillis that year. He rushed for 1,000 yards.
Ooh, they was happy for the next great white. Ooh.
Yeah, but I don't think they'll take the collective of the skill players. I don't think they'll take it to that level like we would.
Not
Well, Martellus
it'll be
Bennett
did they cheat again?
Martellus
Yeah, it'd be
Bennett
something else.
is
Would
unapologetically
be the
black.
question.
Yeah,
So
he is.
yeah, so we can't forget that
Yeah,
Martellus Bennett is
exactly.
there now. When they went in 2014, weren't they all white then too? Edelman, Amendola, and Gronk.
When do
They
you remember
had,
them having a
they had another
like?
receiver though that was black. I can't remember who it was. Hold on.
They
I mean,
always
but
got a token, I
Wasn't it
guess.
Deion Branch? Didn't Deion Branch come back?
no, it was probably either Edelman. I mean, not Edelman, Dobson or Tompkins. But I don't know if they played enough to count.
And that's
Hmm.
all they gotta do is be on the roster, and it counts, and they'll skip the whole cover.
The running backs are black. The running
Yep,
backs are black.
they'll keep that going. That'll be it. That's why it'll never get any traction about the receivers or the main components being of light skinned
They're gonna pick up
persuasion.
Christian McCaffrey. That's what they're gonna do.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that was the year Dobson was there, but they also had Austin Collie. Good lord, I forgot about that.
Seriously? They
Yeah,
let him play?
right.
Yeah, they did.
What?
He survived, I guess.
Yeah, he made the cut. Well, I almost forgot who my pick was. Oh, I was gonna pick Pittsburgh too, just like everybody else, but since Lentz just stole that from everybody, I'm gonna go with the Houston Texans, and not because I think that they'll be like one of the better teams going into the playoffs or anything. I think the way that the Houston Texans have assembled their roster this year, I think it'll take them a little while to gel, but I think they'll peak at the right time. I see them being in flux most of the season, but because they're in the AFC South, being able to still like compete for the division and maybe winning the division at like 9-7, but going on a streak towards the end of the season, heading into the playoffs and being that like dangerous team in the playoffs. They'll be a wild card team that nobody wants to play. And I think with the veterans that they did add to the roster through the offseason moves, I think with them like peaking at the right time, they'll gel right towards the end of the season, and it'll just make them dangerous. Similar to what everybody was thinking about Kansas City last year, like going on that 10-game win streak. I don't think they'll do like a 10-game win streak, but I figure them winning the last 4 games heading into the playoffs and carrying that momentum through the playoffs, I think they could make a run for it doing that.
I actually really believe that they will be one of those teams that you don't want to see in the playoffs because of the fact that they will be able to surprisingly put up points. If they stay healthy on defense, they're just physical enough on defense to cause you problems, especially towards the end of the season. And then that speed will be something that'll be hard to match up against. So they really could be a team that goes in the wild card and makes a little bit of noise, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're the Buffalo Bills South, really, as far as their the speed they have in the skill positions. Because that speed they have in the skill positions is ridiculous. And I feel like Buffalo has that same type of speed. And Brock, I mean, he's big, but he can move a little bit. He
More
can
than
move a
Peyton.
little bit, not a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone can move more than Peyton. Big Turtle
That's
can
all you
move
can
more than
compare
Peyton.
them to right now.
I'm just saying. But yeah, I could see that them getting hot, pulling that Giants 07 run. I could see that.
I need another AFC Championship shirt anyway. So this is from like
Although I gotta say,
4 years ago.
as somebody living in Houston, I would hate for the Texans to go to the Super Bowl because these fans already think they're the shit and they ain't did nothing in their entire existence.
I don't think that's going anywhere. I really don't.
The Houston Texans are the poor man's version of the Dallas Cowboys fans. Every year Houston Texans fans think they got the best team. Every year Dallas Cowboy teams think they got the best team. Nobody can be realistic. Look, my Rams are gonna go 7-9 or 8-8. I ain't
What?
tripping. I'm realistic. I don't trust Jared Goff. I just don't.
What do you mean? You shouldn't trust
You mean
Jeff
Case
Fisher.
Keenum?
You talking about
Jeff
Jared
Fisher is-
Goff?
How
I
does
don't-
Jeff
I
Fisher
don't-
have a job? He got an extension.
I don't trust
How?
that Jared
I think
Goff
he's
is the
one of the most
future.
respected human beings in football. I think people like him as a person. That's got to be it.
It's got to be
Yeah,
his mustache.
he's got a mouthpiece. He must be able to talk his way into any situation.
Nah, that man got he was smart. He got on so many committees that they can't get rid of him. Competition committee, ethics committee, he on everything.
That's why Evan Mathis keeps getting jobs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you just got to know the right people sometimes. But
Ain't that
I
the
think
truth?
I think that's it for us tonight. Thank you for everybody who is watching, has watched, will watch. Will catch us in the future. Stay tuned. We'll be back next week talking about the NFC, and probably the week after that, or maybe sometime in the near future, give our playoff predictions, and we'll keep guys up to date on our thoughts on the NFL as the season goes on. You guys want to say goodbye?
Peace.
Yes, I would. Y'all need to watch the Longhorns take on the Fighting Irish.
Yo, cut this video,
upcoming-
man. Cut
This
this
upcoming
video,
Sunday.
man.
You know what I'm saying?
No,
We trying to show out. We need Charlie Strong
on,
to have
yo.
a winning season this year.
Come on, man. All right. Come on,
All right,
yo.
all right.
Come on, man.
We're done.